Hello, everyone. 2019 is officially coming to a close. Thank the sweet Lord that that's the case, because goodness, it's been quite the year. 2019 was a big year for me, not only because it was awful, but because it was my first year collecting comic books. And that is a slightly awkward segue that I have not written, because I don't write these videos, into today's video, which is, what are my favorite comic books that I read in 2019? Now, I think all these came out in 2019, but some of them might be like a back catalog. But I did read them this year, so they're topical. I promise I'm good at making videos. First thing I'm going to talk about is Nick Spencer's Spider-Man comics. So, Amazing Spider-Man 24 was the first issue of an ongoing book that I ever bought in my life, because I'm a huge shill for Spider-Man, and I really wanted to start reading somewhere, but I was kind of scared to jump in midway, but my friend forced me to buy this, and oh boy, was it the beginning of a magical journey. Being a big Spider-Man shill, I'm a little picky about people who write Spider-Man, people who draw Spider-Man, but Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley combine so well that it is Spider-Man. There's not really anything super in-depth that I can say about it. It's well-written, classic Spider-Man stories that further reinforce the character of Peter that we know and love, and also his relationships with the people around him. Specifically in this run, I got a back issue number 10, which I'm pretty sure was 2018, but again, I did read it this year, which has Black Cat in it. One, it's great because I love Black Cat, but two, there's this really powerful moment where Black Cat doesn't know who Peter is under the mask anymore. But to make her feel better, he takes off the mask and tells her who he is, and it's just very sweet and well written. Good job, Nick Spencer. Also, Nick Spencer wrote the Hunted story arc this year, which was great. Again, good writing, Nick. I'm not good friends with Nick. I don't know why I'm talking to him like I am, but okay, the next thing that I read this year that I really, really liked was Spider-Man Life Story, written by Chip Zdarsky, who also wrote Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, when that got rebooted. By golly, is he a good writer, because goodness gracious, Life Story is great. As you don't know, it's like, what if instead of perpetually being like 15 to 23, Peter Parker got his powers at 15 in 1963 and then just kept growing up, and the adventures continued as he got older and the people who knew grew up around him. It's really, really good. And Chip Zdarsky is a good writer, which is a segue. I really like the word segue. Maybe I should tone it down. But I have my bin down here. That's why I keep, which is a really good segue into Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run, which is also really good. There's this one issue that has Spider-Man in it, and it's probably the best Spider-Man writing I've seen recently. It just totally understands who the character is. I think it's issue 10 or 11. Let me check here. Daredevil issue 11 from this year has Spider-Man appear in it, and just totally nails what Spider-Man's about and who he is as a character. So, seriously, if Chip Zdarsky writes something, just read it. Also, apparently he just got banned from Twitter. I don't really know why, but I'm gonna assume it was something pretty yikes, but he's good at writing. The thing that actually got me into a comic book store this year for the first time in my life was the Spider-Man City at War in Marvel's new Game Reverse line. Because I love the Spider-Man PS4 video game. I bought a PS4 this year so I could play it, and this is a comic based on it. And I love the art. Michelle Bandini is a really good artist. And I don't know, it's just more of the story that I really liked in the video game. So, you can't really go wrong with it. Something I will not be mentioning, despite what you may think, given that I am a Spider-Man shill, is I will not be saying that J.J. Abrams' Spider-Man is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories of the year, because it's not. Even though Sarah Pichelli is one of my favorite artists, it's not that good. And you would not be surprised by that if you've seen the latest Star Wars movie, because JJ, absolute carnage. Read it, because Carnage is a really cool character, and so is Venom, and it's in the Spider-Man universe, so of course I'm gonna like it. Well, I mean, they're all in the same universe, but it's connected to Spider-Man, so I like it. That's pretty much my only criteria, because I'm a hack. Also, okay, so Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda is super weird, but really well written, really well illustrated, and probably one of the most fun experiences I've had reading a comic book this year. Like, it's goofy. I mean, it's really weird, but it's so much fun, and I can't honestly recommend it highly enough. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Marvel's Fearless, which is stories written by a bunch of different authors about the most powerful women in the Marvel universe. It's really well written, it's really interesting, and representation in comic books is incredibly important given the number of characters in Marvel's main lineup that are men. It's really, really cool to see a story like Fearless. You get to see the character interactions of all the powerful women in Marvel Comics, and you get to see why they're so effective and why representation is so important. Well, there's 4 of these, so not that many if you're looking to read them. And they're really good, and I just recommend giving it a shot. The art is also really nice. The last thing I'll mention before my 2 favorite things that I read this year is The Magnificent Miss Marvel, written by Saladin Ahmed. Because goodness Lord, do I like this story. I honestly think that Miss Marvel is the Peter Parker of the 2010s, and I guess the 2020s now. She's a teenager who struggles with the daily problems of life, while also having this great responsibility that comes from her superpowers, and she handles it incredibly well. And not only is it that same Peter Parker relatability that we crave in our comic characters, she's also a young woman of color, which there are even fewer people of color than there are women in Marvel Comics. So again, I'm a huge believer in the importance of representation in media, and I can't imagine how meaningful this is to young women of color who see this person who not only is relatable but looks like them. I've always been able to relate to comic book characters really because they all look like me, and it's so important for growing comic books that people have representation across a wide diversity of cultures. Finally, I'm going to talk about my 2 favorite things that I read this year. Keep in mind that they're long series, so not everything came out in 2019, but they both ended this year, so it counts. First, The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I didn't start reading this series until 2019 because it's my first year reading comic books, but it's probably my favorite Marvel comic that I've ever read in my life. And since I don't read that many comics outside of Marvel, it's one of my favorite in general ever written. Ryan North is so funny, and he's just so good at writing stories. And a little bit of wholesomeness is what I think comics need sometimes when, because of the movies that are coming out, which I do love, everything is getting taken a little bit more seriously. It's important to be able to laugh at comic books because they are silly, and what's more silly than a girl who has the proportionate strength of a squirrel and a giant squirrel tail? But seriously, the incredible, hilarious writing is coupled in the first 20-30 issues with the brilliant art of Erica Henderson, and then it's continued in a similar enough style, but still very charming, by Derek Charm. And it ended this year, which is a huge bummer, but it's just so good. It's so adorable. It's hilarious. Just read Squirrel Girl. It's so good. The final thing I will talk about in this video, for my favorite things that I read this year, was The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead has run for almost 2 decades, so I'm really, really late to the party, but I collected all the trades this year in the span of like 3 or 4 months, and it is my favorite comic series I've ever read in my life. Robert Kirkman just knows what he's doing, and I didn't even have a problem with the ending. A lot of people weren't so huge on the ending, but I loved it. I don't think there was a drop-off in quality anywhere in the series, and it was just so engaging to read the whole time. I love this series. I love it so much. And even though it's over now, which is a bummer, I recommend just reading it because it's engaging the whole time. Of course, the show made it a huge cultural phenomenon. It's just a brilliantly well-written comic book, and the art by Charlie Adlard is also perfect for the story it's telling. So, honestly, I can't recommend The Walking Dead enough. So there we go. Those are my favorite comics I read this year. I'm so happy I started reading comics in 2019 because 2019 was not a great year for me or for anyone, for that matter. But comic books made it a lot better, and I'm so happy to be part of the comic book collecting community, which is full of passionate people who care about art and storytelling. It was a good year for the things that I read, and I can't express how excited I am to keep reading comic books in 2020. So, have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.